Welcome back to the channel. This is the Casuals. I'm Jin,
And I'm Saki.
and today's episode is going to be about a meal for two. So we're back to this segment again after about 2 weeks now. Um, and so, unlike last a meal for two episode, this time we're gonna switch it up and talk about popular franchises that many people may know or may not have heard of. Who knows at this point? Before we get to that, though, I just want to bring up just I think Wednesday, yeah, Wednesday, this past Wednesday, as of recording this episode, I had called you randomly out of nowhere. I think just as you got off work, right?
Yeah, maybe a half hour after I got out.
Yeah, around a half hours, and you were very alarmed because normally I do not call you. Every time I have usually communicated with you in some way or form, it's usually through a text message because it's not urgent. So when I called you, you were thrown off by that.
Yeah, usually we would text, and then when you called, immediately in my mind I said, something's off.
And all you hear is when you pick up the call, you're just like, you just hear me go, Saki, Saki, do you have jumper cables? And you were just like, oh, what? And then I had to explain that my car wouldn't start. So, you know, after like maybe a minute of explaining what the situation was, and you were like, all right, you were like, all right, I'll be there in like 30 minutes, and I was like, all right. So 30 minutes later, you ended up coming, and we finally got the car started, and I was able to go home. But the funny thing is about that is, I was wearing sunglasses at the time. So let me explain that. During the time I left the house, it was still very bright and sunny, and I didn't expect my car to stop working um, for the way back home. So I had only brought my sunglasses because it was only a quick trip for picking up the thing I needed to pick up, and uh, my car my car didn't start, and I kind of got stuck out there for like an hour or so. And by the time that hour passed, it was already very dark, and so I had to drive home wearing sunglasses at night, and it was a nightmare. I could not see the. It was very hard to see because everything was dark but the car lights and maybe the surrounding lights if they were generous enough to shine brightly. But yeah, that was quite the, experience for a random, I guess, encounter for us two that usually normally doesn't happen. So, moving along, enough about the story. A popular franchise that me and Saki wanted to talk about is In and Out. And so, In and Out is an interesting franchise for many different reasons. One being that it's considerably cheaper than most burger joints slash franchises that you would normally see, and the quality is considered very good for what it's worth. Um, However, most people do not know of In and Out, and by most I mean people who are not within the West Coast, because In and Out practically does not exist in the East Coast and anywhere else in the world. It is a family owned franchise. In fact, it's not a larger corporation or some sort, let's say like McDonald's. And I feel like there has been a lot of debates whether or not In and Out is truly one of the best burger joints out there. So, why don't you. Do you have any opinions, rather, on In and Out itself as a burger franchise?
Yeah, so first off, In and Out, it's pretty good. Locations, they're barely spread apart. They're all over the West Coast. Actually, I think I heard they're actually starting to branch out to the East Coast. Just a couple stores, but they're starting to move their way over. For
Interesting.
for pricing, I would say it's, you know, on the cheaper side, which is nice especially if you're like a student or something and you don't have a lot of money. It's very affordable. They're very fast, it is fast food still, but I'd say the quality compared to like McDonald's is a lot better. It's, made fresh. And the flavoring I would say is pretty good. There are like secret menu items that, most people won't know about, but I'll let you guys find that out on your own. But I would say, in my opinion, In-N-Out's good, but it's never something I'm thinking about. Like, if I'm hungry, I'm never thinking about In-N-Out. I'm not, ooh, I need In-N-Out. That sounds so good. I never crave it. I never really, like, I'll eat it if it's there, but it's not one of those things I would actually, like, go out of my way to get. How
So
about
would you,
you?
so on the topic of something that you would like you don't really think about In and Out or crave it, is this specifically In and Out for a burger franchise, or is this specific, or is this rather burgers in general?
Specifically, honestly, it is In-N-Out, because I do like burgers, but In-N-Out is never my first option I think of.
Interesting, interesting. So, I have generally the same opinions as you, where I believe In and Out is a very good franchise. Price is very low, or price is very good for what you get, and it's worth the money that you pay for, right? There's no problem. Usually, I've never really encountered any problems with service whatsoever when it comes to In and Out, so it's kind of negligible in that case. Although each region and each store will have its own, unique terms of situation, whether service is truly bad or not. I do believe though that it's In and Out is very consistent in what they do, and like you said, I do have the same sentiment where I do not constantly think about In and Out. I'm never like, ooh, I really want In and Out right now. Um, but I feel like that's more of a general thing for me because I do not generally crave for burgers. That's just how I am. And part of that reason why I also do not really think about In and Out is because for me, burgers are associated with In and Out. It's something that I grew up with a lot in terms of eating burgers. First it was McDonald's, next it was Burger King, and then finally In and Out when my parents discovered the glory that was In and Out in terms of good price, good food. But yeah, whenever it's burgers, it's just synonymous with In and Out. It's not to say that our family is really addicted to like In and Out. We don't think it's super amazing. We think it's just a good burger. It's something that we're so used to, and so we just get In and Out. We don't really know of any local burger joints or local burger store that may exist in terms of what we can be comfortable with. So that's generally how it is for me. But something that I want to bring up is a couple years ago there was kind of a, I guess, internet debate whether In-N-Out was truly the best burger franchise in America. And another franchise that was brought up quite frequently, and the, I guess, quote unquote, the main contender for that title too, is was Shake Shack. And Shake Shack is more known in the eastern side of America more than the west. So it's kind of interesting in that way, where the eastern side of America has Shake Shack and the west has what's it called, In and Out. So I believe you and I have actually never tried Shake Shack. Is that correct?
That is correct. I have never had Shake Shack.
There was one time, however, we were about to try Shake Shack, but that there was a reason why we didn't try it. So during one of our kind of like we frequently do kind of like wander around in your car a lot. We drive to places randomly, quite often, might I add. And one of the places that we went to was kind of like a plaza place. It was very unique. Parking was very confusing to get into. We ended up just parking in a completely different section. Not even in the plaza where like there is a parking structure. We ended up just parking in a lot across the
Across the
plaza.
street.
Yeah. And so We went to the store that I needed to go to. Found out that they didn't have what I wanted. So and then on the way back, we saw Shake Shack, and we were like, hey, I was like, hey, you want to go in and maybe try a burger from Shake Shack? And you were like, yeah, sure, why not? Might as well see what's up with Shake Shack because this whole debate of Shake Shack is better or In and Out is better, yada 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 existed, and I was truly curious as to if it was really better. And we got in, it was more modernized because typically in most In and Out joints that I have gone to, you order typically by the server. Or like the cashier, sorry, the front person that takes your order. You just tell them, and then they'll fill up your order. However, in Shake Shack, they had those people, but they had you. I don't know if this was mandatory or not. Do you remember if this was mandatory or not that you had to go to these little tablets that were set up in another part of the store and then order from there, and then you go to the cashier? Because I remember it being that the only way to actually order was doing that way.
No, I don't think that's true. Yes, there were tablets like self-serve if you're an introvert and you don't want to talk to anybody, you can order through a tablet so you don't have to talk to anyone. But I think the cashiers were also there in case, you had trouble guiding through the tablet menus, so you could just order straight through there as well, I believe.
Right, right, right. So these tablets existed, so we're like, hey, we both don't like talking to people, so let's go to the tablet. We immediately saw the tablet and we're like, ooh,
You don't
we
gotta
don't
call
need.
me out like that.
We were like, we don't like to socialize. Let's go to the tablet. So we went to the tablet, and then we looked at their menu while we were at it. There was a physical menu above us, I believe, like on a billboard, or not a billboard, like a board above us that had the menu, and we saw the we saw the menu. And we're like, huh? It turns out, Shake Shack is pretty pricey. To our surprise, shocker that we didn't know the prices because we never been to there. That was our first time ever. Um, but those burgers were like $7 to $8 for one burger. I think that was the price, right? $7 to $8 for one burger.
I believe so. I think some of them went up to 10 depending on, which type. Like sometimes they'll have like, you know, all the fixins or something, or a special type of burger, maybe like their specialty of that franchise. But yeah, they were a little bit pricey for a burger. Plus, I think if I remember this correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was just for the burger. It wasn't like a combo meal. It was just the burger that was like, I want to say $7 to $10.
Yes, I remember looking at you and I was just like, "Where's the fries?" And we looked at the menu. The fries were like $3. I was so shocked by that because my the only real burger place I really went to was In and Out, and it didn't cost that much. um, so we kind of just looked at the menu and then we were like, yeah, I don't know if this is worth the money. And being we're kind of money grubbers when it comes to buying food that is worth. We don't. I'd like to say don't judge a book by its cover, but during the time, this was, I believe this was summer, right? Summer of 2022. It was around that time, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Prices were all over, like high all over. So, well, it still is today, but it was still pretty bad back then. And so we were like, yeah, it's too expensive for our, you know.
Yeah, I think um, sorry to interrupt you, but I think in the tablet we were like choosing our food, adding it to a cart, and we didn't check out, but I think it would have been for two people around $30,
Yeah, and
which was a
so
lot.
that was not. We're like, in the end, we're getting burgers. Is it really worth paying $15 each from, two of us? We split it between two, and then, um, two burgers and everything, whatever. I don't know if we even got the fries or not, from what I
We
remember.
were we were considering both getting a set of fries. Yes, that's why it would have added another like $7, which would have made it around $30 for two burgers and two fries. No drinks, by
Yeah,
the
no
way.
drinks. And so we were just like, Ooh, yeah, nope. So we walked right out the door.
We sure did. Once we saw that price, we looked at each other and shook our head, and we're like, "All right, we gotta go."
So, I mean, maybe Shake Shack has better burgers. Like, it might have tasted amazing, but for us, it's like, in the end, it's a burger. Is it really worth paying that much just for a burger? You know? And, we're not gourmets, we're not like people who expect the best of the best or anything. We're just normal people. So it's like, we don't, we, we cannot expect some gourmet burger that costs $15 for plus maybe a fries total. So $15 per person. And be expected to be like, wow, that was totally worth. So in the end, we never tried Shake Shack, but who knows? We might be spewing blasphemy here. People might say, oh, it's like super good and good quality. We don't know how it works because we never tried. And I honestly do believe that if it is too pricey, it is completely reasonable to walk away from it and say it is never worth trying just because everyone's entitled, or not entitled, I would say everyone's financial situation is different. So, it is what it is. So I don't think we'll ever try a Shake Shack burger unless, we get it for free or, price goes drastically down, which I don't think will ever happen. So, yeah. That is, for our opinion, obviously we're going to be like, yeah, In-N-Out is way better just because price-wise you get what it's worth. So, yeah, that's our probably blasphemous opinion.
Can I also add one more burger franchise that I know is kind of in contention with In-N-Out?
Ooh, what is it?
So I heard around, what is it, the Midwest, like Texas area, they have Whataburger. And of course, they believe Whataburger is way better than In-N-Out. But I have never seen a Whataburger on the West Coast, so I can't really say. But I heard that that's another rivalry of burger joints.
Interesting, because I have heard of Whataburger again. It's frequently talked about as another contention along with In-N-Out, but I don't think a Whataburger even exists in California. There might be one in LA or something, but I don't think it exists where we live. So I don't think we'll ever get to try it. But maybe one day, if it shows up and the price is decent, we'll try it. And in a future episode, if we do happen to try it and still are around for recording this, we'll let you guys know what it is compared to In-N-Out. And gosh, there was another burger joint that existed here too. I'm forgetting what it was called. Gosh, I really don't remember, but I remember they had pretty decent burgers too. I'll come back to this if I can, maybe in a future episode or even later down this episode. But I think you may know what I'm talking about. Who knows? Maybe even after we finish recording the episode, I'll be like, "Hey, I finally remembered," but the episode's already over, so who knows. So that is it for our thoughts on popular franchises. Next time we do another meal for two, and we won't be talking about franchises. We'll be talking about a restaurant that we've personally went to and decided if it's worth or not. So please don't expect another franchise or whatever in the next 3 weeks, I would say. And to end off this episode, I do want to talk about, I guess, one food adventure that we've been on. And it's not necessarily strictly about food, it's just memories that we have that are associated with food. And back then, when I was younger and would go to your house a lot of times, like quite frequently, there was a 7-Eleven near your house. It was like a 5-minute walk at most. It's a lot closer than you think. It's just 5 minutes because we kind of slow walked. So that's why it took us 5 minutes. But it was really close, like super close, 7-Eleven. And we would frequently go
right
there.
outside the neighborhood.
Yeah, we would frequently go there and buy stuff there. And I remember you would buy a lot of different snacks. Like like sometimes you would buy Chex Mix. I forgot what else you bought. Maybe Takis?
Hot Cheetos.
Hot Cheetos. All right, Hot Cheetos. They're still your favorites, if they say. Um,
Oh yeah, I love Hot Cheetos.
there was this one particular food. So you know how 7-Eleven has those like warm like those hot food where they take out frozen food and just heat it up on there, whatever, and they have it cycling in there. Um, whatever. Most 7-Elevens have that. And so this 7-Eleven in particular had these things called taquitos, and man, I was addicted to the taquitos. And they were like, I don't know how to describe these taquitos. What I guess they're what their name is, taquitos, but to me they were like very mini versions of a burrito without that much filling. And there's one particular one that I liked. Do you happen to remember the name of it? I remember the name, but I'm just wondering if you remember, because I would buy this a lot.
I don't remember the name exactly, but I think it was like that chicken and cheese one, I think.
Yes, it was a
Or was it
Monterey
the
Jack.
steak?
It was a Monterey Jack cheese taquito. That's what it was, and I really, really liked it. I do not know why. That thing was salty as heck. That was like super salty and like super unhealthy. But I would always buy two of these every time we go. And I think you tried it once. You were just like, my God, it's super salty, and you never wanted to eat it again.
Yeah, I thought they're a little bit too salty for my taste. I
But
mean, they were good, but a little bit heavier on the salt.
being the little grubber I was, I ended up constantly eating them, and I did mention this in the previous, in the very first episode that we did, is that at some point, during our younger days, we kind of we kind of didn't contact each other for about a year, I would say, about a half a year, and it wasn't until maybe a solid 2 years later that we started reconnecting, hanging out again, and we went back there again and I bought the taquitos again because I thought, same thing, it's gonna taste the same, but no, it actually tasted worse. uh, so gradually 7-Eleven started making worse and worse taquitos, and I'm still kind of I was very upset about it because it was a guilty pleasure of mine to eat those, but yeah, it's just unfortunate that quality just eventually got worse, and the price ended up going up a lot too, so it was never worth buying anymore. And so you had something that you'd like to buy too, something outside of the norm, and it was a drink, wasn't it?
Yeah, so as Jin said, he loved those taquitos, but I was on a different addiction. I loved energy drinks, or the energy coffee drinks like the Starbucks double shot. I want to specifically point out for this time. So I got a mocha double shot espresso like energy drink that was Starbucks. And I was just addicted to those. I chugged those like it was water. And so I ended up buying one when we both went to the 7-Eleven, and Jin has actually never had it. So he was, curious. And so he asked if he could take a sip, and I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, like, yeah, I love these things, I love coffee, iced coffees mostly. And he took literally maybe an ounce or maybe 2 ounces of a shot of it. And he was like, oh, wow, that's good. It's strong, but it's good. And then when we got back to my house, like half an hour later, he crashed. He was out.
Mind
He
you,
just knocked out on the couch.
this Starbucks double shot espresso was meant to make you stay up. Specifically, it's an energy drink. And you constantly, raved about you constantly raved about how, this energy drink makes you awake, gives you energy. And then here I was like, oh yeah, let me try a sip, because I never tried energy drinks. I had no reason to. Never really drank coffee either. And well, technically the double shot espresso isn't really even coffee; it's just a sugary drink.
Yeah.
But I was curious, and as he said, I took a sip, and then we went on a merry way back to his house, and tried playing some games, and then suddenly I felt very sleepy. And it's not like I overate or anything. I ate the usual, and I would never feel sleepy. But that particular day, I was extremely sleepy. 30 minutes later, you saw me snoring on your couch.
And you were out for a few hours, I might add.
I think it was 2 hours that I was out for after drinking that, and it was on your couch. It was in the living room on your couch. And you saw me
Nope.
sleeping, and you eventually ended up sleeping too, right? Because I think I woke up and I saw you sleeping. And I was like, what happened? I had no clue what was going on.
Yeah, I ended up playing a little bit longer than you. I just saved the game and then did solo gaming. And then maybe an hour or so in, I'm like, oh man, now I'm getting a little tired. And so I just paused my game, and next thing you know, I was out as well.
I remember, I do believe your mom was home at the time. I think. This might be a false memory, but I think she saw us and just kind of left us alone and minded her own business again. And I think she ended up commenting this like, "Yeah, why were you two just sleeping on the couches?"
Yep, no, that you're right. My mom was home at that time, and yeah, she did look. She probably did look at us with like a question mark over her head and was like, okay, and just kind of walked away, did her own thing, and then you woke up first, I remember, and then I woke up shortly after, and then we just looked at each other like, what the heck just happened in the last couple hours?
And I think we ended up just being like, "Oh well, time to go back to playing games," because we
Yep, we
were
did.
very game addicted teenagers during that time. So we ended up just shrugging it off and going playing games again. But after that point, I never drank an energy drink again. Quite literally. Never drank those double shot espressos whatsoever. Never drank a Monster energy drink, whatever. So yeah, that was that was one of our fun little things that we've had in terms of memories associated with 7-Eleven. And so this episode has gone on a lot longer than I thought, but it was an enjoyable episode to talk about. But unfortunately, we have to end it here. So I'll state the closing statement, which is I'm Jin,
And I'm Saki.
and this is The Casuals, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye!
See ya.